What's up, guys? Welcome. Happy Sunday. How's everyone doing? How's your weekend so far? And how was your week as well? So welcome to another live stream. My name is Pedro, and again, in this session, we basically go over the market, try to see where the opportunities are for next week and what we can expect from it as well, by reviewing a little bit what happened the week before, and yeah, looking for key levels to try to predict where the best opportunities are. We go over different markets, we go over FX, indices, commodities, a little bit of crypto as well, just the major ones. We try to find the correlation that can also help us to look for the best opportunities, which is what we try to do. Which assets may provide us the best options in here. Trying to look for high quality setups instead of and avoid basically ranging markets that usually don't really provide that many opportunities in here, right? So again, it was a busy week. It was Fed, BOE, Bank of Japan, Reserve Bank of Australia, Swiss National Bank. So it was interest rate decisions all over the world, except basically Europe and in Europe and Canada, which they already made a decision a few weeks ago. And there was no surprise, except maybe for the Swiss National Bank that did decide to cut the interest rates, basically taking the leap and being the first one to do so, from 1.75 to 1.5%, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe they will even carry on. Seeing that spike to the upside again, it was a beautiful move on the dollar franc Swiss, for example. It actually reacted from the level that we were looking for the last few weeks. The Fed, no surprise, market reacted quite positively to the meeting. At this point, basically, the Pedro Powell didn't really give any importance whatsoever to the last two CPIs that were a little bit higher than expected. And in terms of the prediction, yes, the 3 rate cuts for this year, and one less in 2025 than it was predicted back in December. That was a little bit of the main difference. The market doesn't really care that much at this point what's going to happen in 2025. But yes, in general, the three rate cuts, which at this point are predicted to happen most likely in June, the first one, then maybe skip July, then another one in September, and then maybe skip November again, and they're looking at the 18th of December maybe for the last cut, which takes us into 75 basis points rate cut towards to 4.75, and that's maybe where we are going to be by the end of this year, which has been more or less in alignment again with what was predicted back in December. Unemployment to be around the 4%, so no change in there. GDP as well, more or less the same, and inflation again eventually to reach the target, either end of 2025 around those 2% target, or then eventually in 2026. One of the things is, yes, most likely the idea of seeing the interest rate going all the way back to where it was before all these hikes, most likely that's not going to happen. We are going to continue to have even 2026 and moving forward from there. Yeah, maybe around 2% or something like that, 2.5%. That's maybe where the interest rates are going to be. In the UK, the main difference was that usually we had still two governors, or kind of two, it's not governors, what do you call it? Yeah, two voters that still were looking for another maybe hike. Yep. So they stopped with that approach. Now they are neutral, so no hikes at this point. So that's a little bit of more of a dovish. And in the UK, we're looking for the rate cut to be around October, maybe the first one. So they are still a little bit behind the curve. And then the main one as well that we looked for, it was in Japan. Again, the interest rate decision. So it stopped being negative after 20 years or something like, not 15 years maybe. I think since 2007 that they finally changed the interest rate, being at between 0 and 0.10%. So that's positive interest rate. So that's a change. And again, that is a consequence of the wage growth that was going on with the union. It was again an agreement which took us in a wage growth, the highest one since for the last 30 years, and the inflation was starting to be a problem, starting to rally. With that, wage growth is going to just continue to rally, so the Bank of Japan was forced to do something about it, and there you go. That is still, I think, going to be seen as a big factor on the change of the yen pairs. And because of that, again, we were looking for the yen pairs, or the yen index in this case, to go higher last week. Not straight away, but eventually it actually created the PI to look for that, and we'll see what's going to happen next. So that was one pair that we mentioned that it was important to pay attention to. At least there will be good opportunities on the yen pairs to trade. And yes, that's mostly it in terms of the news. Manufacturing PMI as well continues more or less the same across the world, so no big changes in there, in Europe, in UK, and the US, basically the same as before. So yeah, news wise, that's what we had, and eventually we saw the dollar continue the rally a little bit as we expected as well. Good news as well is in terms of the inflation in the UK, much better than expected. So maybe that was a factor for these two guys to make their mind and actually go from hawkish to neutral in terms of the interest rate decision in the UK. So that's basically it in terms of news. Next week maybe a bit smaller. Again, there's going to be the Good Friday bank holiday. Is not in the US, and in the US actually is going to be the core PC on that day. So again, it's going to be a tricky one. Not much volatility to expect on the day, but with that news, at least around the news time, I most likely expect that. Aside from that, basically the market's going to be closed. Not much volatility to expect, and that's going to last even for the Monday after that as well. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a shorter week. Some volatility in the moment in here, which can create actually a bigger move than expected, because if there aren't that many participants, and if all of a sudden someone was a big order in there, the market can move quite quickly. Aside from that, not really much GDP data, but not really much going on in terms of news, especially comparing with what we had this last week in here. So that's basically the market and what we have. Okay, and as always, we start with the dollar index. Okay, so that was a little bit of our prediction. This is where the market was last week. Okay, this is where it closed and it opened. We were looking a little bit for that continuation in here. Hey Miguel, how are you, man? How's everything? Yeah, so looking at the dollar in here, we're looking for that continuation, like, and that's basically what we paid attention to in here. And I did create the scenario that we could see a reaction or some kind of move to downside around FOMC in order to either collect or, again, my initial idea, if you actually check the last live stream 1 week ago, not sure if it was in here or in there. Yep, that's not exactly the image in there. So I did create the potential scenario of seeing price moving a little bit higher, maybe reacting from somewhere in here, moving lower, reacting from this level, and then moving somewhere a little bit higher, where then this will be basically Monday, Tuesday, and then on Wednesday with FOMC, we would have maybe a big move down, maybe collect its orders, and then move to the upside. Okay, that was a little bit of the prediction I made. And unfortunately, or not unfortunately, on Monday, we didn't really have that big retracement, right? Price stopped in here on Monday and it moved higher, which means that this level was still fresh. So this level was not necessary for price to go towards to before moving higher. And that's basically the main difference. I did mention kind of this level and this level. This is basically the extreme of this zone in here, and this the upper edge of that level. This will be a bit more into the extreme. And since this level is still fresh, apparently it was enough around here for the dollar index to react from. What I also mentioned last week, right? And it was around this level in here. Like, this is a clear, basically, supply or quasi-model that we were looking for. And I mentioned that I was expecting this level in here to not actually work. And I mentioned from this level in here, I didn't mention in here. Initially, I was actually looking for that short or some reaction to the downside from the lower edge in here. But the extreme, which is what many people also look for, is this specific KM in alignment with those highs. I was actually expecting price to go higher and move lower, right? That was actually the image from last week in here that I predicted. Exactly that line in there at around 104, 200 something, like this was then on Friday after price already made that move down. That was kind of the trend continuation setup that we were looking for just yesterday, not yesterday, Friday, on the dollar index, and kind of continuation to downside on the euro dollar. Like, and again, this is such a typical move, and that's why I was expecting it. Okay, which is, again, this is a specific pattern, again, one of those that we look for. But when they are a little bit in the middle, and after price already made a big move to downside and be reacting from something that was relevant on the left side, this level now tends to work actually as the opposite, which means instead of working as a short, it actually is going to work as a long. And as you can see, it was precisely basically to the pip where actually the low reacted from in here on Friday, after we finally managed to break to the upside in there. And this last break of this highs, it was actually quite good as well. This also confirms a bit more that price actually wants to go higher. This for me is one of my favorite moves also to the upside. Then price can go down, and then it's free to go a bit more to the upside. And that's basically what we had. Okay, to be honest with you, I didn't really like these highs, neither these highs on the NASDAQ, on the dollar index, neither the lows on the euro dollar, as you'll see a little bit more. So this was before the FOMC. Price didn't really create much manipulation in here to then move in there. Okay, just created literally a range and then move to downside. That's usually not exactly the type of highs that you see before price, if price actually is about to just continue like this. Same thing on the euro. And yeah, on the euro, there was even a clearing break to the downside of the lows before the FOMC, then it retraced to the upside, and then it just moved down in there. So that was a little bit of what we were expecting on dollar index last week. Okay, so continuation to the upside, continuation of price maybe getting a bit more closer to here, and from here eventually to break to the upside. We did have that move down happening that we were also looking for, but I was actually looking for it a bit more in the middle. Price went a bit more to extreme, went down, and now moving higher, and we'll see what's going to happen in here. But I kind of wouldn't mind to see eventually this dollar index to carry on to the upside. Okay, we have always mentioned that this one looks like as an engulf upwards. We broke this structure, so this is eventually still a move to the upside for price eventually to get closer to this structure in here, and it will be just a matter of time until maybe price retraces in here. I decided to respect this demand zone. It's a daily level instead of just going all the way a bit more to the downside. That will be another level that could be possible for this dollar index to go towards to, and eventually kind of turn and go higher. To respect this engulf up. Apparently just pausing there, and meanwhile is kind of moving quite nicely, to be honest, in here. So yes, at this point, let it go above this high. Most likely that's where it's going to go towards to. In here, I'll be surprised if price doesn't take this high at least. And after that, after that we'll see. The way price moved away from these highs. Okay, that's something that we can take a look into it. In here, so basically we have this structure. Again, we have a little bit of a double top in there, even though it's not exactly double top, because actually these highs are slightly higher than that one, so it's not exactly double top. It may look like, but the situation is that the way price moved away from here, it looked like it compressed quite a lot. All right, so a lot of these zones had already been touched. There is maybe this level in here, because you do have this accumulation of highs, and there's not exactly kind of that last move like this to push price down, which means that maybe this supply that eventually actually originated the break of this low, it's still fresh. So that will be perhaps a level to look for. Is price going to react anything from here, just above this high? There's maybe that level, but aside from that, not really much. I'll be actually looking for price to go slightly higher. To be honest, the level in here, as you can see, is basically already touched in there. Okay, so there are easily three levels that price tends to respect within a range like this. Okay, it's the lower edge, is the extreme, and it's eventually some kind of supply level that managed to break below this low. And then the difference is when price is moving away from it, it's going to respect some of these levels already, or it's going to leave some of them fresh for the future, which can have some kind of reaction from them. Okay, that's basically, you can study them, you can go back and try to see exactly usually where price reacts from, but usually there are those three levels. Sometimes those three levels, one of them, especially this supply in here, tends to be in alignment, or it can be the same as maybe this level already in here. Okay, maybe price already spiked. Now this is the one that matters. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes price goes down, retraces, and goes like this, making this level still interesting. Again, there are different dynamics, but usually those are the three levels in there. So yes, we do have a little bit of this zone in here. Maybe price can react from it, but I'm expecting price now to just continue eventually and even take the highs. To be honest, I think it could carry on and take the highs. Yeah, is there anything in here in the lower time frame? Maybe. If there's something there, I'm going to be looking just for a small reaction and then for price to just continue. To be honest, that will be more of my expectation on the dollar index. I'm expecting price to stay within this range in here and to just carry on to the upside. Okay. So with respect to this level, eventually could even go a little bit more closer to this level in here. As you can see, that was the zone as well that was valid. Price reacted a little bit from it and then just moved higher. Now this level is already reacted from, so maybe somewhere in here, and eventually just continue to go higher from there. Is price already reacted from here? Yep, it is. So yeah, let's see how price is going to open overnight, this night, and eventually to continue to go higher. That's a little bit of what I am looking for in here. Okay, that's basically our index. Just carry on, eventually let it go a bit more to the upside, and after we take those highs, maybe we can start looking for something a bit more to the upside in here. Yeah, so moving along, looking at the euro index. Okay, yeah, euro index, which is also finally close to a turn. Okay, so we also mentioned about this one. So we saw the break to the upside, we were bullish in here, and we predicted all this move 1 month ago or so, and we look for price to actually fill all this range. Yeah, this was actually one that we covered during one of the webinars to see exactly where were the fresh levels around this level, and basically every single thing in here has been taken. It's basically, again, do the same exercise, find the three zones within these ranges, which ones have been taken or not. Basically everything has been taken until a little bit more towards there, which is also in alignment with that one. And so no surprise, in addition to that, we had this beautiful PA, what was already starting to form, to look for the reversal. Okay, so again, just as a clue, if you do have a zone that you like in the bigger picture, okay, perfect, identify it. Like, you can identify those levels beforehand. Okay, so that part can be done with anticipation, and during over the weekend, whatever, you can find those levels that maybe matter to you. Okay, so that's nice, that's good to see. Okay, maybe there's something in here that not this touch. Okay, let's go down, fake out in here, break it, expect a little bit, and break to downside. Doesn't really retest there. Let's pretend that that's the level in here, whatever. So that you can see in anticipation, like you can definitely just pay attention to it and mark it. But then you don't really need to trade it straight away. Like, you don't need to just place a sell order in there, sell limit, and start trading it. Okay, you can actually then pay attention to the second phase, which is the approach towards the level in there. Okay, and yes, we start to notice completely this compression on the euro index. It starts to show a little bit of weakness, and it goes in alignment with the video, or kind of the explanation I made last week. I think it was last week when I mentioned about how to trade all-time highs and kind of to notice or to see price starting to create that weakness. It's exactly like this, like you start compressing, and one of the last signs of weakness is actually the break of a low. Like, it's starting to break structure to the opposite side, okay, to the opposite direction, which is basically what we start having in here. Like, at this point, we kind of have all the lows being respected, and until we finally have kind of a turn in there, and that's another sign of weakness. And then it's just about the manipulation phase, right? In terms of the break, in terms of actually waiting for price to react from that level. And what I wanted to mention is, yes, you can identify this in advance, and the best thing that you want to identify is then how this structure when price is getting closer to the level. You don't want to see it already too much into here. No, look for it actually beforehand. Pay attention to it, be patient. This is super important. Okay, be patient. That price may actually want to go to the level that you identified. So in this part, also trust your own analysis. Okay, trust your own analysis. Secondly, be patient, especially if you start having this type of PI around or getting closer as it approach closer to your level. And then what you want to see is exactly that kind of confirmation just underneath the level that you like or that you want to see. Right, that's when you want to identify it, because then just waiting for that fake out, continue to be patient. Now it's happening exactly where you want, okay, which is perfect. This is exactly all kind of triggers are in there, kind of how the checkbox are in alignment with what you want to see, and then you have the turn happening in here. Okay, and that's basically a high probability trade that you are looking for. We have all the parameters in here, and it's kind of perfect in that scenario. Okay, so yeah, you can do this first part in advance. This one you can just be patient and keep tracking, and then just wait for whatever trigger you're looking for, or wait for that manipulation to happen. So then you can start looking again where this price then eventually goes towards to. Yep, just in alignment with these two levels. They're quite nice. In here, price basically maybe has already touched it, yes or no. Yep, who knows. Need to go a bit more into detail in there. Yes, that's basically what you want to see. That's what you start to look for. Identify this level, and beautiful. Okay, we are going to now look at the yen index. It's exactly the opposite, but on the opposite side, with the difference. Right, just the same thing we mentioned last week. If you are trading all-time highs, you don't have information on the left, right? So there's no information. You have no clue where price is reacting from on the left side. If you are not trading all-time highs, you have that extra confidence that you have this level that you want actually to see price reacting from. Again, Euro index, we have that level because we are not at all-time highs, at least not yet, nowhere near close to it, but to be honest. And on the yen index, we did manage to break new lows. I don't have any more history on the left side. Maybe there is, I don't know, but my server doesn't provide me, so I have no clue. And you start looking at it as the same way that you treated last week when I mentioned all-time highs. In this case, it will be all-time lows, if that's even a thing, right? So yeah, that's exactly what you start looking for. We looked for that reversal on the yen index, as we'll see in a bit, and it happened. Like you have the manipulation, you have a few highs being broken, and then kind of fake out, and it goes with it. Okay, so again, yes, we can have a little bit more of a weakness now on the euro index. In here, price did respected that level in here. Okay, as you can see, there is this high that never really touched it. It's in alignment with this one in here, which is perfect. And since then, price has been just moving. Yeah, it reversed a little bit, which goes into alignment with the euro index, maybe going a bit higher, with the euro dollar also going a little bit lower, and yeah, it kind of goes a little bit in alignment. Is this the final level? No, I'm not expecting this to be the final destination on the euro index. I'm still expecting price to go a bit more to the upside, but it has been missing a little bit of that deep retracement that we talked about, and now maybe that's going to happen. Okay, maybe that can happen a little bit now. Of course, pay attention to a few levels in here, but a lot of it has been compressed. And if we do manage to break maybe below these lows, I think then we can just continue eventually to push price lower. Again, this euro index does tend to move a bit more like this. Not always is 100% correlation with the euro dollar. Okay, this euro index is not 100% correlated with euro dollar. There are many other euro pairs that this euro index is reflecting in here, so that's just something to bear in mind as well. But maybe you can see a little bit more of a sell orders on the euro index. For example, euro yen can be one of those assets. If by any chance we are expecting the yen index to continue to go higher and the euro index to move lower, that's going to mean sell off on the yen, on the euro yen in this particular case. Okay, so that's a little bit of what we can pay attention to in here. Maybe euro CAD as well, or again, maybe either other euro pairs, we'll see. Okay, but it's a good one. Again, overall, still can go a bit higher, but you may have a little bit of this deeper retracement before maybe continue to go to the upside in here. And yes, now yen index, it's basically the opposite. Yeah, Again, any questions, guys? If you are looking at any specific thing, feel free to ask in here. Yeah, so again, the yen index, right? So this was another one that we looked for. Okay, and you mentioned that maybe there was a small chance that maybe something in here was still fresh. A lot of this has been taken already, and there's maybe one last thing in there, right? And this was basically the day of the interest rate decision of going from minus 0.10% to plus, okay, to positive, and that has a change at an interest rate that yeah, it's a big change in the monetary policy in Japan, with going from negative to positive, and can have a big impact on the yen pairs from now on. And that's basically a little bit of how I'm going to be positioning myself in here eventually for the yen pairs. But what you're looking for was still for longs, okay? Price decided to completely break through. There was no engulf to the upside on this way down, okay? Price did respected every single level until eventually broke that level. And then in here with the FOMC, we did start having this reverse. Okay, as you can see, initially we have maybe a little bit of this range. We have our first break to the upside, then we have another fake out, we have another one. So as you can see, it starts to happen quite a few breaks to the upside until eventually we had that turn in here. Okay, so I was looking for price actually to, again, this level may still be fresh. None of these walls actually touch that level, but that was a bit of what we were looking for in here as price starts to break, and that was one of the targets that we were looking for, at least the retest to the previous low that was broken. That was a natural target to look for. We already have these highs also being broken, and that was kind of a natural move that we were looking for on the yen index, and it happened just kind of like that. Okay, again, what also categorizes a high probability trade, if you combine what I just described before as part one, identify a high probability level that you think that price wants to react from. Secondly, look at the approach, okay, of price is moving and start showing that weakness in terms of reversals. And number three, which is actually maybe more important than even number one or number two, is if you have a valid target that you think price has a high probability of going towards to. Okay, if you have a valid target, again, natural level to look, just expect as any price when it moves is to kind of retest the previous low. And yep, that was still fresh, and there was a high probability that at least price would like to test that level. Can even go higher from here, but at least that level is a high probability level that price wants to break, especially if price already breaks some structure in here that starts opening the door to go there. So this high in here, it already clears the space, clears the sell orders around this level, and it's free then when it turns, it's free to go to that, at least to that level. Okay, so yes, target is super important, and if you do have a good target to look for, that's perfect. It creates an even higher probability because yeah, there's a high chance that price actually then goes to that level that you are looking for in there. So yes, with this yen index, there's still the chance, of course, price can retrace a little bit. For example, this level is fresh, maybe this level is fresh as well. Maybe this level in here is still fresh as well. Now, apparently these lows never really reacted from it. So we start having a few lows in here, a few zones in here that price can still bounce and maybe continue to push higher. And that can mean exactly the opposite on the other yen pairs. And as we will see in terms of the yen index, is that most of the yen pairs, they'll talk about euro yen, pound yen, Aussie yen, no, not CAD yen, but at least those three, aside from dollar yen, which is still respecting the highs, they were actually approaching a really important levels of supply in the higher time frame. Okay, so all those three were actually at a good level when this shift happened. So they actually were almost free to, not free, but they were at a good level to also look for the sell-off. And this is where you can use a little bit of correlation in this case. Okay, so yes, maybe more bullishness in here. Let's just see how price may react from there. We have maybe a few levels that you can look for, and yeah, just let price to retrace. Hopefully it retraces, as we can even look for new opportunities as well, and just wait for that reversal, and then you can go for it in here. So yeah, at this point, let's see how price may react from there in here. Jumping into the indices. All right, so let's just do it this one. Yeah, they kind of skyrocketed during the FOMC meeting, right? They completely moved to the upside. That was something that again, it was a big question mark depending on the survey that I was looking for. On the S&P, was that a break to the of this highs, yes or no? Price did respect to that level, and then eventually broke to the upside. Respected. There is no break of this structure, for example. That was a good point in there. Yeah, holding this level, it was kind of important. Let me do this with the white line. And then it just moved to the upside, right? So it broke above, respected, moved to the upside, and now it's starting to show a little bit more of a reversal once again. Not exactly my favorite. Maybe can even challenge a little bit more, eventually fake out these highs, or even maybe just this one, or at least that one. At this point, it keeps respecting this structure in here. And you have a little bit of destruction in here, okay? The rectangle is like this because there is already that move to the upside in here, and then price retested already this level, so that's why it's a wider rectangle, and price actually can just react from the upper edge of that level and start moving higher from here. On the other side, maybe the extreme is still actually fresh because this low never really reacted from here. So if by any chance, if you do fake out that small low, at least on this server, maybe there's still a chance for price to just bounce from there and continues to go higher in here. So yeah, that's just a few zones. Again, this is it continues with the same approach in terms of how to trade all-time highs. Be careful with the sales. Try to find actually that weakness, a little bit of reversal, wait for the manipulation, and look for the reversal in there. If you are looking for continuation to the upside, wait maybe at this point for price to get to a good level before jumping into another one. And it's basically rinse and repeat at this point anytime you have this type of PI in here. Okay, if you want to check it again, I did explain a little bit of how I look for it in the previous stream, so yeah, you can go check it in there. NASDAQ finally managed also to break this level in here, so this is where you can look for the approach. Okay, I mentioned that there was a potentially I will still be interested in selling somewhere in there, and we did manage to break this low, so that's a little bit of an engulf down, but this level in here kind of invalidated a little bit that zone. Okay, and this is something to pay attention to as well. Okay, when you break a low, at least when we have a low being broken, that we may consider this one as an engulf down. I don't really want to see I don't really want to see the retest of this level and price respecting it and going higher. Okay, I would prefer to just see price breaking this low and not really retesting and just continuing, because there are orders in here that are still kind of left behind, and if price kind of respected them, it creates kind of a bullish sign that we may actually end up breaking the previous highs instead of respecting them. So if price does make this retracement and then kind of go higher, there's a bit more of a question mark if you're actually going to respect the highs or if you're actually going to break them. If this level in here is never respected and price just breaks it, not respected, I mean if this level in here price doesn't really retrace to it on the way up, and if it's left behind, there's a high probability that actually maybe price can respect still the highs and at least bounce to here, at least. Okay, because this is literally the extreme. There's again high probability that price will want to go to the extreme in there or to retest these levels without really leaving these orders behind. Again, it's a big story, but yes, that reduces a little bit, or it creates a bit more of a concern in terms of then looking for sales. So when I actually saw this one retesting in here and being respected, that was a bit of a concern then to look for sales in there. You can still just wait then for the approach. The approach is completely different, right? You can see the momentum, you can see how strong the approach was. This was with FOMC. There was no weakness. Price actually starting to move higher. As you can see, there's no break of lows, there's nothing in there. So it was avoidable, okay? You could actually avoid any sales in here because there is nothing in there for you to sell. Again, what it could have been work as a sell in there, kind of in alignment with the structure. It actually ended up kind of working as long as just as a continuation, and price just moved on. It created now this range. Price starting to fake out straight away. Again, as you can see, NASDAQ and NFP. NASDAQ just made a smaller fake out of this highs. S&P made a much bigger move higher, comparing with the previous high. Okay, and it's kind of somewhere in there. So it's completely different. This can actually be almost seen as just a small fake out. The other one had much more momentum to the upside. And at this point, I still like this level, for example. I think this is quite reasonable. And we did manage to break below this level, even though it basically just respected actually the zone in here. But it's nevertheless actually a break below this level, which can be quite interesting to continue to look for a potential sell. So it starts to print again. It continues to print a few breaks of lows. So it demonstrates still some weakness, which can still lead us to continue to look for sells and eventually to catch that bigger trades, because that's basically what it's doing at this point in here. Yeah, so we'll see how price may react a little bit from this level. If it breaks the lows one more time, or if it goes there, and only if it goes there afterwards. Second, using the wrong hotkeys. Okay, in there. Now, lower time frame. Yeah, there's maybe still something in there. Wait. Yeah, even though we kind of moved to the downside a bit in a compression way. Yeah, so once again, you can look at the extreme in here and actually be precise with that one. Yeah, it's kind of a double top in there, so we can actually then just fake out the level altogether. Yeah, I can actually then eventually fake out all this and then move down. We'll see what's going to happen from here. If price just respects this level, goes higher, we may have that final fake out before starting moving lower. Dow, yeah, Dow just retraced in here. So Dow also, you notice that never really managed to break these lows. Created a little bit of this level, go higher. I'm curious to see how Dow is going to react from this level. If it holds and goes higher, perfect. If by any chance it starts breaking below this structure, we may have then a continuation in here, even though it's kind of a big move in here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You have a little bit of a manipulation in there. Disappear, man. Disappear. Yeah, so we'll see on the Dow. I think eventually we can retest maybe one more time at least that level in there. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen in there. Yep, this is the zone at this point, and yeah, we'll see. At this point, I didn't really like the way price just moved away in here, creating that high. It was okay level, to be honest. The way price moved away from here, but aside from that, nothing much. Yeah, and then DAX, which continues, it just continues to respect. So that was kind of a sell opportunity in there. Respected this structure, it goes higher, starts again to break slightly these lows. It starts to compressing. I think we're going to have a little bit of a sell opportunity in here. Price starts to show some weakness, it starts to break a little bit of a few lows. So I think we may be closer to a potential good opportunity in here. Yep, so that one is starting to develop a little bit more, and then eventually you can continue to go higher at this point. If you're looking for longs, again, maybe wait a little bit for retracement to then move to the upside in here. But yes, in terms of sells, I started to show a little bit of a lot of compression, and yeah, maybe getting closer to a potential short opportunity in here during this week in there, and that's what I'll be looking for in here. Yeah, that's basically it in terms of the indices. So yeah, it goes in the same aspect, looking for those yeah, how to trade all-time highs. Just wait for weakness, be patient, and yeah, if you do see opportunities, then go for it in there. Yeah, so in terms of the euro, right? So let's take a look into now individual currency pairs and the euro dollar. All right, so this was the euro dollar on the there's another level. So this was on Tuesday, and then kind of Wednesday with the FOMC. Again, I didn't really like these lows, and I didn't really like the way price kind of just moved like that in here. Didn't really see much manipulation in there. I had a little bit of a level in there that price could react from, but yeah, I was not really expecting that bigger move like this. And this was a good level eventually where price reacted from. And meanwhile, again, this was just the move yesterday for the trend continuation on the euro, the same way that we're looking for the trend continuation on the dollar index. I was looking for the euro to get a bit more deeper into here, actually, one of these highs to get a bit more into there for the sell. didn't really happen. Maybe can still happen. Maybe price can still fake out these guys, can still go a little bit higher, react from here and go lower. Bigger picture, I would definitely, yeah, so we did manage to break those lows. I was looking for price to continue to move lower and actually go all the way, at least until here. Okay, so yeah, go all the way, take these lows. I think that's going to happen already on Monday, and we'll see how price may start reacting a bit more towards this structure in here, which can eventually continue to move lower. But we do have still kind of something in here, or even something in there. Price can just compress a little bit and eventually continue to push lower. The way price kind of reacted from here on the day after FOMC, we broke the low, had a deep retracement, and just kind of moved to the downside in here. So yeah, that's a little bit of what happened. Is it something in there? Yeah, I wouldn't like to see Euro even breaking nowhere near above these highs, just to continue to move lower, at least until there, taking this low. That's at least the level I'm looking for on the Euro. At this point, and then you start noticing how price may react from here, which may not even react from here, and just continues to move lower and starts getting closer to these lows in here. So yeah, so we'll see on the euro dollar what we may have in here. But at least euro dollar is moving nicely. It's not exactly doing those ranging behaviors that it was doing in January, February of this year. So it's much more volatile at this point, which is providing many more opportunities to trade from, comparing with the beginning of the year in there. So yeah, somewhere in here I think price can still fake out these guys. I think can really provide a good opportunity from somewhere of this level and continue to push more to the downside. Are we going to take first these lows, which maybe already did? Nope. Yeah, we can have a bit more of that again, somewhere in there. It can be nice. And then the pound, pound dollar as well. So that was another one that for me, this was middle of compression, and I was looking for price at least to get closer to this level, if not even eventually lower. Okay, so again, where price reacted from, make this move to the upside during the FOMC, didn't really look like a final destination on the pound dollar. Good reaction from there, and yeah, the rest is history. And then the BOE happened and price just dropped in here. Yes, on Friday I was looking for price to go a bit more deeper into this level for the continuation to the down. Was this Friday? Yeah, that was too early. Yeah, so that price kind of paused in there. Yeah, both of them. I was looking for a bit deeper and a deeper in there. None of them really went there. But yes, somewhere in here price can still eventually go towards 2. And this low just also kind of broke some structure in there. Yeah, somewhere in here price at least can go towards 2, but you can even break these lows at this point in here, to be honest, on the pound dollar. So maybe a little bit more room to the downside. Again, you can retest. We have this structure in here that pound can go towards 2 and resume the move to the downside from here. Yep, that could definitely happen in here, at least again beginning of the week, and then we'll see what and where price is going to be at when you get to maybe Tuesday, Wednesday in there. Euro pound finally moved. It has been a while and a long time, to be honest. So we respected the low. It finally kind of broke to the upside, retested straight away, and it got one of the targets. Okay, so that was one of the targets for price to take this level in here, and then eventually could go even a bit higher. And let's see how price may react from, first of all, from where it is right now, and if it doesn't really respect that level, then somewhere in here can continue. Again, it has been not the best pair to trade. As you can see, a lot of ranging markets. So yeah, it would have been a lot of patience to even wait for price to move, but it finally respected the engulf to the upside that we kind of noticed in here back at the end of February, 1 month ago. It respected the demand, and now it reached one of the targets. It was somewhere in there, and yeah, I could see then the continuation a little bit more to the upside in here on the euro pound. But who knows? It can range again for another week or so. Who knows what's going to happen in here. And then the Aussie dollar. Yeah, Aussie dollar was a pity. Where price reacted in here, it was okay, but it was not exactly kind of the extreme, expecting more room to downside on the Aussie dollar, and I really wanted price to go into that level, not to pause in here, but actually to go into there. That's where I was looking a bit more for the then potential reversal. Price just paused in here, and it moved down since then. And yeah, at this point, to see how price may react a little bit from this level, and eventually can even continue to move lower in here. Yeah, but at this point we do have this structure, this falls in here, so we will see. Yeah, we'll see at this point what's going to happen. There's even maybe a little bit of a reaction somewhere in there. Who knows? Yeah, there may be some reaction in there to look for underneath these levels. Yeah, unfortunately, didn't really react from that zone. Just paused slightly lower than that. Oh well. Yeah, that was a little bit on the Aussie dollar. That was the level that I was looking for. Euro Aussie kind of moved up and down a little bit with that movement. Again, I was looking for price to go a bit higher. Kind of reacted a bit from this level. We do have this break to the downside, so that's eventually where I'm expecting the Aussie dollar to go towards to further down. But we do have a few of these extreme levels. As I mentioned, nothing really has changed much on the Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie. It respected also that level. Kind of mentioned a little bit of this zone in here more to the downside. I was looking again for price to go a bit higher just to get maybe a better risk reward. As price just paused in here and kind of move down, and maybe can even challenge a little bit more of these lows in here. Okay, so that's something to pay attention to on the Pound Aussie. Yep, so that's something in there. And then the Aussie Yen, that's one of the great opportunities that happened on Friday, Thursday, Friday. It's actually on Wednesday, started on Wednesday. So yes, it was one of those pairs that when the decision in Japan was taken, we had a big move to the upside. That's when we had kind of that big sell-off on the yen index. But if you do remember, many months, not many months, like 1 month ago or something like that, when price was still in here and you're looking for price to fake out those highs, we mentioned that there were two levels that you're looking for price to react from, at least for price to go towards to, like looking left. And one of them was in here, with that month zone that was still fresh and price did reacted from it in here. And the other one, if you recall, it was a bit more to the upside to close actually this gap in here. Okay, and that's exactly where Aussie Yen has reacted now. Eventually can even go higher, 100%, but so far great reaction from the two levels that we identified. The first one was already a couple of weeks ago in here, and now this level in here on, again, somewhere this week. Okay, and that was perfect. And in alignment with the move to the downside on the Aussie and then the move to the upside on the end, we did just had this big sell-off on the Aussie Yen. So it was a great sell-off that we had in here. Price still left some levels at the highs, so eventually if it retraces to that level, it can be there can be more sell opportunities in there. As you can see, this highs just paused in there, never really reacted from here. The extreme may still even be fresh, and yes, we kind of pause within this range, so that can still be interesting. Again, price may still continue to look for more move to downside by respecting something in here, so we'll see. Okay, and maybe this is the target at least for now. And you start having again this bigger move. Again, we still need to eventually to break properly a low in here, which we haven't really managed to break any big low or a major bigger turn. But yeah, another big sell-off that happened in there, and we can have another opportunity if prices go somewhere in there. So as I mentioned, when you had that turn to the upside on yen index, there was Aussie Yen that was reacting from a good level, as one that we identified. There is still this dollar yen, which is actually the one that I like the least, which is still the reacting from these highs. In my opinion, again, we don't know if it's going to fake out levels. There's a lot of pressure on the dollar yen, but I think we are going to actually eventually do that. Okay, there's a lot of structure in here. The way price is still fighting this level, not really managing to properly move away from here, and you did respect to this level as well. I think eventually we are going to have that fake out, and maybe after that we finally have a move that can be supported with the continuation to the upside on the dollar index in here. So yeah, that can be a little bit supported. And maybe the final move to the turn on the yen index in this case, and eventually go higher only after this yen index, this yen dollar, sorry, takes the highs. We will see. It's a good level. Again, that small fake out is just beautiful, but we do have a lot of structure on the left side, and yeah, I think personally I'm just going to be looking for a short in here after we take the highs. That's what I'm going to be looking for on the dollar yen in here. So dollar yen again is still at a good structure, but I believe we may have a final fake out. Then we have the euro yen, which was another one that we looked for. Okay, we did mention that this high in here hasn't really reacted from the extreme on the left side, and the extreme is at this point the lower edge or base of this bigger level. So previously price was just in there, okay, just taken a daily high or something like that and reversed, but it hasn't really reacted from the base of this level, and there was a chance that price could go a bit towards there. Okay, so we notice a bit of this double top in there. We notice also the break of this low, but then price just decided to carry on, and now it's actually reacting from that level. Okay, so it's reacting from this lower edge in there, and now I'm to this low, and that's where actually this euro yen is reacting from in here. And then you start having the turn as well. Again, this was the move during the FOMC until eventually price just turned. It created a double top, which can still be faked out a little bit in here in the future, which is going to be quite interesting. Personally, I did prefer the PI that we saw on the pound yen opposite to this euro yen, because in here we actually respected this low as well, then created kind of a double top. I was actually still looking for eventually for a small fake out in there, so still in alignment kind of around that higher time frame level, but I think it's maybe still missing a little bit in here of a potential move. But again, with the turn also on the euro index, that also helps this euro yen to move lower, which is it is what it is. So we did manage to break below that low, which eventually can actually provide into a bigger short. We do have this structure now somewhere in there, and maybe somewhere in here as well. So we'll see what's going to happen on the euro yen. But the way price actually moved away in here, I would actually still prefer a little bit more of a fake out, but yeah, we'll see if that's eventually going to happen or not. On the yen, it provided a little bit more of a better move, as we'll see in a bit. Yeah, there can be more room to the downside. Price can go all the way. Maybe there's a little bit of a structure in here that price can bounce from, and then we may have that structure, and yeah, maybe something even in here that price can fake out and move lower. Yeah, so that could happen as well. But you do have a double top, okay? You do have a double top, and there was not exactly much manipulation going on in there, which can still happen. So that's something just to bear in mind on the euro yen. Pound yen, it's a bit different because we did have the break to the downside. Okay, you have that compression, start having this range in here, and you have the turn and the break, and then the move to the downside. Okay, we did kind of create a double top as well, but with the confirmation of this one, that was slightly different in here. And then yeah, with the remaining of the news from the UK, we just had a bigger move to the downside. In there, kind of still missed a little bit of that level, which can still be valid. And as I mentioned as well, pound yen, it's now reacting from a good level. Okay, so it reacted literally from the base of this level. Before it was somewhere in here in the middle, now it's actually reacting from a really valid level in there, which is perfect. And yeah, the opportunity also occurred in there again. So again, same story, just as I started this stream. It's a good level that you can anticipate and look for beforehand. Okay, you can have this level marked beforehand, and then you have the approach as price is going there, starts to create a little bit of a higher time frame highs that everyone can see, and as you move a bit more into the lower time frame, show a little bit of weakness. As I mentioned also, I think I did mention that last week when trading all-time highs, it's nice to see this kind of a move as well. Okay, it's nice to see that that big sell-off opportunity, a big sell-off order, a big sell order jumping into the market. In this case, since we are kind of starting to look for a sell, otherwise it would be kind of a big long position, but getting rejected straight away. But it starts to create that range that eventually we want to look for in here. Okay, this is just someone that is starting to print orders. You could see it. It was visible during the FOMC. You could definitely see this big sell-off, this big order being printed in here, and yeah, then we have the turn in there. But it's nice because it creates that beginning of a range that you look for eventually, and this all can be used for the manipulation in here. So yeah, at this point, maybe somewhere in there, can go a bit lower, can maybe go somewhere in there, or can even then eventually continue and actually challenge this structure in here at this point. But yes, good opportunities, and I think there are going to continue to be good opportunities on the yen pairs. If price comes back into this structure, it can be again continuation of good opportunities to look for on the yen pairs in there. Dollar CAD has been more in a zigzag way. Okay, eventually we are looking for price to break above this level, but it did manage to fake out slightly that low. It's a bit more tricky, to be honest, in here. So yeah, we'll fake out that level, then respect it from here, move down. Yeah, this low still respected that one. I'm just looking eventually for the dollar CAD to go a bit more to the upside. I'm not really looking for trades at this point. I want just to see price moving a bit more away from this indecision and getting a bit more closer to any of the extremes in here, to then maybe look for something. Yeah, at this point it's a bit more indecised. It was not a bad level where it reacted. Okay, this fake out, yeah, so it's a tricky one. Yeah, so looking a bit more to the upside in there. Euro CAD, it's kind of similar. You kind of respected that double top. It spent a lot of time within this range. This low hasn't really managed to be broken, so that was something in there, and it kept being respected. Now apparently at this level, bigger picture, I would still prefer to see this Euro CAD moving higher, a bit more closer to that level, but we could have a deep retracement in here, either towards that level or can even go lower, to be honest. Because in reality, you did respect that level. We do have this engulf to the downside, so this looks more kind of as a potential reversal in here, because we do have the break of this level and we did respect the extreme of that zone. We did feel this compression, so that was something to look for. Something in here could still again be respected, and that could maybe actually mean the bigger reversal in here. We did manage to break below this low, so that can actually be seen as an engulf down. So yeah, maybe that's a little bit of what we can have in here in the bigger picture, to finally feel a little bit more of this range and get towards at least this level in here. Yeah, at least. And from here, maybe have a little bit of a bounce and then just continue to move lower, or just even break completely that level and then respect eventually that zone as a continuation. But yeah, bigger picture, at least on this time frame, and you're looking at 4 hours. If I look at the, yeah, like this, may change my mind. Yeah, may change my mind a little bit. But yeah, in general, between this structure, yeah, we may fake out the side. So it would be nice to see actually a break below these lows, just to confirm a bit more the intention to go lower. So I want to see kind of a little bit of a break below these lows. Then you can go higher. Okay, then you could go higher. So take something in here, break these lows, show intention that you want to go lower. Then you can eventually go higher, fake out everything in here, maybe into this level or a bit more higher, and then just have the turn, come back into the structure, then somewhere some kind of a self, maybe somewhere from there as well, and then eventually can go all the way through, or can even go a bit more deeper into something in there as well, if that's what you want. Because if it gets closer to this level, it's high probability that all this is going to be filled. Okay, so either kind of respects the lower edge of this level, or if it got that high, then they're looking for price to already go maybe towards that zone in there. So that's a little bit more of where I'd like to see this guy is going towards too. So yeah, for the last few weeks, this is kind of the range that we are, and yeah, not really active at this point in here. I did like that sell, it respected target. Since then, not really interested at this point. Pound CAD. Okay, pound CAD was a great one. Yeah, pound CAD was a great one. So we fake out that high of this structure. We have this compression, and this was a great trigger. Okay, break below it, fake out it, break below it, give the intention to go lower. Two levels in here to look for. One to be just fake out this level underneath kind of this structure, or it will be a bit more to the upside in there. It was just like this. It respected and that left shoulder, and it moved lower. I think it has a little bit more room to the downside in here. At this point, I think maybe can go a bit more closer to this level in there. Eventually, yeah, that's a little bit of where I'm going to look for on pound card. Again, the extreme is still fresh at this point. Maybe something from here can have another continuation to the downside from here. Yeah, but it was a nice one, a nice move. Again, another manipulation occurring there. We kind of call it zone 2 type of a move in here, where this is kind of zone 1 and then the other one is zone 2 in there. So it eventually kind of starts the zone 3, which kind of a compression, then eventually kind of we turn again. But this is a typical pattern of a zone 2 type of a move with the manipulation in there. Yeah, so nicely done in here. Now another one that it was something on our radar. Okay, it was this dollar franc Swiss, which is exactly same story. A little bit of being able to identify a good level that you want to see being filled. Okay, initially we had that structure, price respected. After we took that level, we were looking for price eventually to get to this level. There was just one kind of demand zone that was still in there, that was fresh. Price did reacted from it. It's more of this level in here. Price did reacted from it during FOMC. It just respected the next demand zone and it went to the upside, and then it reacted exactly from the supply level that we had in mind, as we could see also in our previous streams. Okay, so this is a typical move. I think I did mention already a little bit like this as well. When you do break an important structure, there's a high probability that price will kind of fake out some lows, respect something to continue. Price will not just kind of respect something and go. Price actually is going to break out that mid-range lows into a valid demand zone, and then it goes higher. Okay, that's a high kind of, again, it's a pattern that you can see happening quite often in the market, and this happened with the interest rate cuts that happened in Switzerland, and there you go, big move upwards and start to show some weakness in here as well, and then you have the turn, start breaking a little bit of these lows, and from here can still be an interesting opportunity maybe to look for another sell, and let's see how price may react a little bit towards this level. I think here maybe a little bit of a turn, again bigger picture on the dollar franc Swiss. Eventually price may wants to feel everything in here, but yes, this was a good level to expect some reaction from. It's a clear supply, everyone can see it, but bigger picture, yes, bigger picture may go all the way through towards there. Eventually, for now, maybe we can have a little bit of a retracement. Even though if the dollar does want to continue to go higher, maybe these guys are going to continue as well, even though if you actually paid attention, there was a little bit of a divergence between the dollar and the franc Swiss this week, except from the news. In general, there was a little bit of a divergence where we could see dollar franc Swiss actually moving higher, while dollar index was actually moving a bit lower. And again, sometimes that divergence still actually happens, and yeah, it's actually something that happened in there. So yeah, maybe from here, that's maybe a good opportunity to still look for some kind of sales in terms of targets, looking for maybe price getting a bit closer to this level in there. Attention to this one, and then eventually a bit more to the downside in there. Yeah, so that's worth paying attention to in here. Gold. All right, gold was a clear break of a trend line and explode to the upside. Okay, this was during the FOMC. We noticed the reaction from the previous high, and we noticed also one of the last fresh demand zones in alignment with that level where this low created. And as long as this low kept being respected, we're actually looking for that break and then the continuation to the upside, at least to test the highs in there. Okay, it actually even went higher than that, but that was the move that we started to look for last Wednesday. Again, the compression is quite clear, the trend line is there, and you had that break, retest, and the explosion to the upside. Okay, this was actually managed to continue to hold. Since then, actually, we wanted to look for that short in there, notice it too late. Was actually looking for one of these highs to spike into there. Didn't really happen. Price moved all the way through to the downside, and now it's reacting from here. If it breaks these lows, maybe a little bit of manipulation go higher, but eventually I'm looking for gold to actually get closer to that level. Again, gold has been a bit more aggressive in terms of these all-time highs and then kind of big sell-off straight away being created in there. It's a bit different comparing, for example, what the indices are doing at around these all-time highs. Okay, it's a bit harder maybe to trade, for example, to catch this sell on gold, at least looking at where the all-time high is comparing with indices. Yeah, because it automatically creates a little bit of a way too wide of a range. If you are looking to trade it in here, again, you are just maybe looking now at this point, at this high in here, protect your order or your entry. You cannot really look for this high, otherwise, again, there's maybe not enough risk reward in there for you to then look for any sell. So yeah, that's a bit more tricky to trade it in here. But yeah, at this point it can retrace a little bit. Again, don't really know if there was already some kind of reaction on gold based on whatever, on the terrorist attack that had happened in Russia. So didn't really pay attention to if there was a reaction. Maybe there's going to be straight away from the opening. There's a chance of a big gap in here, just because of what happened in Russia on last Friday. So that can be a little bit of a concern, just to create kind of, it's more chaos that you can see in the in the bigger picture, in the conflicts that are going on. So that's, yeah, gold and oil can have maybe a little bit of a gap this yeah, whenever price opens today. Yeah, we'll see on gold what's going to happen. We do have this range. Price can continue to create new all-time highs, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, and oil, the same thing. So we had a little bit of a correction, something that we looked for as well. So the reaction, it was a valid supply in there. Eventually I'm expecting oil to continue to go higher. But this was a little bit expected, a little bit of a retracement in here after finally making that move to the upside. Again, we did talk about this moving there, and at this point there's maybe a little bit of that level, there's maybe something in here, and eventually can go a bit more closer to this level, or even the extreme in here, because DXY is still fresh in there. Brent actually already reacted from here, so if by any chance wants to have that deep retracement, this level is still quite valid in here. But to do have some above as well. In terms of sales, yeah, there's maybe a little bit in there, but if prices start getting a bit more to the upside, I'm looking for price to eventually take these highs and maybe reacting a little bit more, yeah, a bit more higher in there. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen in here, and if there's a bug up, no surprises whatsoever based on what happened in Russia. So yep, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Again, the move to the upside, we kind of have been positioning ourselves like that. Now we have a little bit of a correction, which can be a bit deeper. Okay, can go all the way until there at this point. So we'll see also what may happen in here on oil. And just to finalize, we are actually going to look at crypto. And it has been behaving quite nicely, to be honest. Or the moves that have been creating in Bitcoin, Ethereum, have been quite nice, and they have actually been positioning ourselves accordingly to that. So we did look for that sell in there not last week, sorry, 2 weeks ago, so 10 days ago. Price did continue and it reached the target. So the first target was to see this compression here to be filled. So that was done. Price did react a little bit from that level, and then it will be more of a continuation, a bit more closer to this level in here. We start looking for longs around this level. Again, we start to see the weakness. We start to see price breaking slightly new highs in here. Unfortunately, this move, it happened quite quickly for the long. Actually, I was more looking for the long on Ethereum. not so much on Bitcoin, but it was, the move was quite similar in there. And from here we will see. Okay, so it's a good target, it's a good low at this point on BTC, and eventually can continue to move a bit more to the upside in there. If you do break below this low, then maybe getting a bit more closer to this level can be quite reasonable. But at this point, I don't really see the need to break below that low. But yeah, completely open-minded regardless. And if we actually break below this low, we even again, as I mentioned, open the door a bit more to the downside, and we may be looking for this 53 to go there. But yes, I think price can start to go higher again from here. In there's maybe a little bit more of manipulation occurring closer to these lows, and then maybe price can continue to go higher, or maybe that's enough and price is ready to rally from here. Already Ethereum, it reached a target. Okay, so we had basically two targets in here. So one of them was initially when we look for that sell. Okay, we're looking for price to get towards this level, and then it will be below this double low. Okay, somewhere into this structure, and that's where we were looking for on Ethereum. So price did started to, as you can see, start to respect a little bit this level, print a little bit higher, and then you had that reversal happening in there, and that's what we were looking or positioning ourselves on this day, on Wednesday. Again, the reaction from there is quite good. It's a valid demand zone. I think there's also some structuring here from the left side, so it was a valid level in there. And again, it was unfortunately quite quick. The way price went down and up, and we managed to get the entry in there. So yeah, we will see now what's going to happen. We did manage to slightly break that high. We start looking for shorts again then on Friday, just small retracements at this point, more of a smaller time frame kind of a thing. Okay, so basically in here it was a bit more of a bigger time frame reversal. This one, it was just a smaller time frame situation, looking for price maybe to retest this level, and from here can go higher. In here it's just again the type of PID to start to have in there, it starts showing some reversals. You can see the breaks of the lows, you can see still a bit of the gap to get closer to this level. So that happened in there, and we'll see now, right? Now we will see what's going to happen in here. There's maybe the chance to retest this level one more time. And if price does want to continue to move forward from here, then you are looking for price maybe to get closer to this 2600 can be quite reasonable as well. On the weekly time frame, I think that's where maybe the next range is, somewhere in here, or daily as well. Can be getting closer a bit more towards that level, but you can easily just respect this level as well and carry on to the upside. Okay, again, a higher time frame, expecting Ethereum and crypto to continue to rally, Ethereum to break the highs, just a question mark of when it's going to happen, and from where actually we're going to now resume this move to the upside in here. Okay, so the retracement that I was looking for, I'm happy with it, and price can actually start going higher from where it is right now. Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen there. Ethereum, Solana also reacted nicely from the extreme in here. Okay, that's a huge move that we have since the end of last year, and good reaction in there. So that was a level, one of the last levels that was still fresh. Eventually again, Solana ready to break the highs, and we have a little bit of a correction in here, and maybe can actually have a little bit more of a room to downside towards this level, and from here maybe can continue to move to the upside. Okay, so a bit more bearish moves maybe on Solana in here. We did react from that level. We can have eventually, did we reacted or still left behind? I've reacted. Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see these guys taking this low and reacting a bit more towards somewhere in here to then move to the upside from there, and eventually go all the way take the highs. So I wouldn't mind at all to see someone doing that. So a bit maybe more move to downside in here before continue to rally in there. Yep, why not? But yeah, guys, nice moves, nice opportunities in here. Again, with bear in mind that higher time frame still bullish in here. Yeah, that's basically it for this week. Again, just to recap, dollar to move higher a little bit more, euro as well to move over a little bit more. Paying attention also to the euro index can be quite interesting. Maybe can have that continuation to the downside. Again, pushing pound, euro a little bit more to the downside, maybe Aussie as well. The yen pairs, that's going to be another interesting one. Eventually going to have some kind of retracement towards this level, and from here may have another opportunity to look for longs. Let's see where the highs are going to be reacting from. Is it going to go from here? Is it going to be from there? It's going to have, I don't know, any trend, any kind of trend line where price is going to react from. So it's going to be a question mark, just also to see where whatever highs are going to be reacting from whenever price gets closer to this level once again. Again, then looking at euro yen, pound yen, dollar yen as well, question mark if you fake out the highs or not. The indices is just continuation of trying to see a little bit of weakness to look for that reversal. Again, Dow had a really strong move to the downside, which can still eventually push back a little bit to retest at least the highs. S&P, yeah, S&P maybe can still create one last fake out. NASDAQ, if it starts breaking below this level, it still leaves this level in here fresh behind. Maybe that can be the level to look for a reaction. Again, we have a few lows being broken in here. Gold is a bit tricky at this point, so cautious with any trades on gold. Yeah, oil as well, question mark, to see if you're going to have a bit more of retracement or then continuation in here. Okay, so yeah, the yen pairs definitely are going to be on my radar, and the euro and the pound as well. I think they're going to be good opportunities in there, aside from the indices, of course, in there. And that's basically, yeah, that's basically it in here for this end of March. I hope you guys are having a good month and a good quarter as well. More news to start be sharing from my side as well. Yeah, at the beginning of April, I'm going to finally announce and release the trading journal I've been working on, to focus a lot more on performance metrics to help you guys to actually track what kind of mistakes you are doing on your trading, how to improve them, and to see what's the potential actually of the strategy that you are using by measuring, for example, the mistakes that you do, the missed opportunities that you are taking. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, aside from that, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and yeah, have a good start of the week. And yeah, we'll speak later. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Thank you, Miguel, as well for going up. All right.